Today I'm going to show you how to make a PowerPoint where you can have some random questions on the screen that the students will choose. They will see the question and then immediately see the answer after. It's a good way to show them electronically an activity where they can review some important information you want them to know. And in the old days we might have had, draw from a cup, draw this question from a cup, talk about it with your partner, answer it, then draw another question from a cup or a bowl. This is just the digital version of that. So in my mind, I have this set up already, so let's create it. I'm gonna type select a number, answer the question with your partner, and reveal the answer. So just 3 steps. We can put this in the center. So I'm gonna try to do this a little quickly. I'm going to change the font. And one thing I see with PowerPoints, think about where the students are in your classroom and where they can see your PowerPoints. If I'm putting this on the screen, for example, I want to make sure that everyone in the room can see it well. So make your instructions and the information you want them to know big. We have so much real estate with these screens. Make sure you're using that to the best that you can so students can see it from all angles. So I made the font large, and now I'm going to put in, we're going to do 6 different questions just to review. And obviously you can do as many as you want, but 6 is a good number. And I've already visualized this in my head, how I want this to look. So that's gonna help. If you know what you want it to look like, how many questions you have, this is a great setup. So I'm gonna go to, first of all, select a rectangle. I'm just gonna draw an arbitrary rectangle, and I'll tell you why it's arbitrary in a second. So what I wanna do now is I want to duplicate that. And I'm gonna do so by holding down Control, clicking the shape and dragging. So now if I select both shapes, hold down Control, click and drag, I create that again. And if I do it one more time, bam, I have 6 identical shapes. They're ready to go. And I'm going to use those shapes to fill the bottom part of these instructions. So if I select all 6 of them, hit Control G and drag them to the left, I can now click this bottom corner and manipulate it. And notice how whatever I do, those 6 shapes are exactly the same size because I've copied it and they're grouped together. So once I put it to the bottom right, now I have these 6 shapes that are exactly the same size. If I do Alt-Shift-G, that will ungroup them. And now I can select each shape individually. That's gonna be important. So what I want to do here is I want to think about the questions that I'm going to ask, and these are where my answers are going to be. So if my answer here, I'm going to have some patriotic questions. I want to ask, how many stripes does the American flag have? I want to say 13, and then I'm going to put in parentheses, 7 red and 6 white. I hope that is correct. I will be so embarrassed if it's not. I have the flag right behind me, but I'm not even going to look. So again, I'm going to change the font, make it look interesting, and again, make it big. Why not? Give a little drop shadow. The next question is going to be 50, because I'm going to ask how many states are in our country. Seems like a simple question, but we never know. We just never know. Make them the same size. What was that? 54? Okay. Give it a drop shadow. So now I have 2 answers. Let's put questions on top of those. So if I select my first slide and if I hit Control D, that will duplicate it. I don't need this top part because we're just creating questions that are going to go on top of it. So I know I'm going to need some more space to ask these questions. Let's make the fonts a little smaller. How many stripes are on the American flag? Cool. And I'm going to do that to make it a little more centered. Again, it's got to look good. How many states are in the United States? Should probably capitalize the word United. So now we have 2 questions that we can propose to the students. I'm gonna make them bigger, why not? And we want these to, I actually just realized something. I'm gonna delete these 5. I'm gonna copy and paste this. Hold on to that idea for a second. Let's get rid of that. So let's start with one question. When I have this question, I want this question to disappear when I click on it because then that will reveal the answer beneath it. So we're gonna start with this one question. I wanna do an animation and I'm going to make it disappear. I want it to exit. So that's what exit effects do. They make that shape go away. And there are a bunch you can choose from. As I mentioned in another video, I like to stay in the middle part because that's where they're not too flashy, but they're kind of fun. I'm gonna do a collapse. No, I'm not. I'm gonna do a, I should just pick something. We'll just do a basic zoom. That actually looks kind of neat. It'll look good once it's all said and done. So if I click OK, now I have this shape that has an animation, but it's not triggered by anything. So what I want to do is I want it to trigger on itself. So if I select the shape again and I go up here to trigger, I want it to disappear on the trigger of that rectangle. And the reason why I deleted the other 5 is because, see how this is called rectangle 15? Well, the other 5 shapes also have a name. They could be rectangle 16, 17, and it's never really easy to know which shape is which. So that's why I got rid of them all, just so I'm not confusing myself. And if I hit rectangle 15, now if I just look at this slide, once I click on that question, it goes away. And that's nice. Now I can just simply control click drag for these. And as I had copied that question from earlier about the United States, it's already there. And the neat thing is, once I control click and drag one shape into 6 shapes, they all have the same properties of animation. So what I mean by that is if I click on any of these questions or boxes, they will individually disappear from a click. And that's because I made one as like my master animation, and I just copied it into others. So it's a real quick way to get from one to many. And that's gonna be key when working fast in PowerPoint. Nice, so now I have my questions. I want them to be different colors in the background, so I'm gonna make them orange. Should probably do something patriotic, but we're not gonna. And then we're gonna duplicate this again. And because I already have these animated the way I need them to, this is ready to go. Maybe you don't like the order that I'm doing these numbers. It's not a big deal. So I'm putting numbers on here because I can say, hey, like question number 1, I want you to think about, oh gosh, maybe give them some extra detail. Like question 1 has kind of 2 parts with the 13 stripes and then the 7 and 6. Maybe say question 5, I want you to actually consult your notes because it's kind of a difficult question. But again, just giving these numbers is a little interesting way for them to see something. You can even put pictures in these if you wanted to instead of the orange background. I am going to add a white border to create some visual interest. Cool. If I really wanted to, you know what, let's do it. Why not? This is a tutorial, right? I'm gonna make these look red, white, and blue. So I'm gonna fill in a gradient. So I went to shape fill, scroll down to gradient. I want more gradients, gradient, and then I want to delete that. I'm gonna do this really, really fast. So I have 3 colors right here. We're gonna make this color red. We're gonna make this one white. We're gonna make this end one blue. This is a good blue. Look how patriotic. It's like France though. Okay, on second thought, we're not doing that. Solid fill, orange. But that was just a quick example of how you could do gradings. I'm sorry I did that. I really hated that. That did not look good. But we'll make it yellow just because that looks nice. All right, so now that I have this ready to go, we can start layering these results. So if I take this section, Control A, Control C, go to first slide, Control V. Look how that just puts it on top of it. Now let's go to slide 3, Control A, Control C, go to the first slide, Control V. Didn't quite put it exactly, but no big deal, click and drag. Now my slideshow is ready. All I have to do is if I click on slide 1, I get this question, how many stripes are on the American flag? The student and the partner can talk about it. I think they're whatever. And then they can click the question, which will reveal the answer. Nice. This is a good way for your students to practice any kind of questions you want them to know that are specific to a test or a quiz. You can do vocab in here as well. I do this all the time, and it's just something real easy when I don't want to cut up pieces of paper and have them pick them out of a cup, especially now that we're doing COVID protocols and whatnot. So it's just a good way to do revealing of questions and answers. So try it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and best of luck.